son. Sounds like some of you heard this before. I know I have. That's because this song was called Alice's Restaurant. It's about Alice and the restaurant, but Alice's Restaurant was never the name of the restaurant. That was always just the name of the song, and I guess that's why I still call the song Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's right in the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Well, it all started 53 Thanksgivings ago. 53 years ago on Thanksgiving, when my friend and I decided to go up and visit Alice at the restaurant. But Alice didn't used to live in the restaurant. She used to live in the church nearby the restaurant, in the bell tower, with her husband Ray and Fonzie the dog. And living in the bell tower like that, they used to have a lot of room downstairs where the pews used to be in. And seeing as how they took out all of the pews and having all that room, they decided that they didn't have to take out their garbage for a long time. We got up there and found the place was filled with garbage, and we decided it'd be a friendly gesture for us to take the garbage down to the town dump. So we took the half a ton of garbage, put it in the back of a red VW microbus, took shovels and rakes and implements of destruction, and headed on toward the town dump. We got there. There was a sign, a chain across the road saying, "Closed on Thanksgiving." We had never heard of a dump being closed on Thanksgiving before. So with tears in our eyes, we drove off into the sunset, looking for another place to put the garbage. And we didn't find one, till we come to a side road. And off of the side road, there was a 15-foot cliff. And at the bottom of the cliff, there was another pile of garbage. And we decided that one big pile would be better than two little ones. Rather than bring that one up, we decided to throw ours down. And that's what we did, drove back to the church, had another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, went to sleep and didn't get up until the next morning, when we all had to, well, we only got a phone call from Officer Obi. He said, "Kid, we found your name on an envelope at the bottom of a half a ton of garbage. Just wanted to know if you had any information about it." And I said, "Yes, sir, Officer Obi. I cannot tell a lie. I put that envelope under that garbage." It was after talking to Obi for about 45 minutes over the telephone that we finally arrived at the truth of the matter. And Obi said we had to go down and talk to him at the police officer station. We also had to go down and pick up the garbage. But now, friends, there was only one of two things that Obi could have done at the police officer station. And the first thing was, he could have given us a medal for being so brave and honest over the telephone, which wasn't very likely, and we didn't expect it. And of course, the other possibility was that he could have bawled us out and told us never to be seen driving garbage around the vicinity again, which is what we expected. But when we got to the police officer station, there was a third possibility we hadn't counted upon. We was both immediately arrested, handcuffed. And I said, "Obi, I don't think I can pick up the garbage with these handcuffs on." He said, "Shut up, kid. Get in the back of the patrol car." We sat in the back of the patrol car and drove to the, quote, "scene of the crime," unquote. Now, friends, I want to tell you about the town of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, where this was happening. They got 3 stop signs, 2 police officers, and 1 police car. But when we got to the scene of the crime, There was 5 police officers and 3 police cars, being the biggest crime of the last 50 years, and everybody wanted to get it in the newspaper story about it. And they was using up all kinds of cop equipment they had hanging around the police officer station. They was taking plaster tire tracks, footprints, dog-smelling prints. And they took 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. They took pictures of the approach, the getaway, the northwest corner, the southwest corner, and that's not to mention the aerial photography. And it was after the ordeal we went back to the jail. Opie said he was going to put us in the cell. He said, "Kid, I'm going to put you in a cell. Give me your wallet and your belt." And I said, "Opie, I can understand you wanting my wallet, so I don't have any money to spend in the cell. But what do you want my belt for?" He said, "Kid, we don't want any hangings." And I said, "Opie, did you think I was going to hang myself for littering?" Opie said he was making sure, and friends, Opie was, because he took out the toilet seat so I couldn't hit myself over the head and drown. Took out the toilet paper so I couldn't bend the bars, roll the toilet paper out the window, slide down the roll, have an escape and get away. Opie was making sure, all right. And it was about 4 or 5 hours later that Alice, remember Alice? This is still the song about Alice. And she come by, and with a few nasty words to Opie on the side, she bailed us out of jail. We went back to the church, had another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, and went to sleep and didn't get up until the next morning when we all had to go to court. We walked in, sat down. Opie come in with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us, and he sat down. A man come in. He said, "All rise," and we stood up, and Opie stood up with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures, and the judge walked in, sat down with a C&I dog. He sat down, we sat down. Opie looked at the C&I dog, and then at the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures, and looked at the C&I dog. And Opie began to cry, because Opie come to the realization that this was a typical case of American blind justice, and there was no way the judge was going to look at the 27 8x10 colored. Well, it didn't matter, because we was fined $25 each, and we had to pick up the garbage in the snow. But of course, that's not what I came to talk about tonight. Just thought I'd mention it. Tonight I thought I'd talk a little bit about the draft, and for those that wasn't there or don't know or can't remember, back in those days we used to have a thing called the selective service system, which meant that when you was a guy and you turned 18, you had to register with the selective service so that you could select some kind of service that might be of interest to you. If your choice was none of the above, they would help you by making a selection for you. And to do that, they had buildings all across America where you had to go in, get injected, inspected, detected, infected, neglected, and selected. And I remember I had to go in there one morning a long time ago for my physical examination. And I got good and drunk the night before, because I wanted to feel my best when I went in that morning. I mean, I wanted to feel like, I wanted to be like the all-American kid. And when I went in that morning, I was hung down, I was brung down, I was hung up, I was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking things. I walked in, I sat down. They gave me a piece of paper, said, "Kid, see the psychiatrist, room 604. I went in there. I said, "Shrink, I want to kill. I want to kill. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth. Eat dead bird bodies, kill. And I started jumping up and down, yelling, "Kill, kill." And he started jumping up and down with me. And we was both jumping up and down, yelling, "Kill, kill, kill, kill." Till a sergeant come over, pinned a medal on me, sent me down the hall saying, "You're our boy." didn't feel good about it, but I proceeded on down the hall, getting more injections, inspections, and all kinds of stuff that they was doing to me at the thing there. And I was there for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. I was there for a long time, going through all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things, and they was inspecting and injecting every single part of me. And they was leaving no parts untouched. But I proceeded through until I finally come to see the very last man. I walked up, I said, "What do you want to see me about?" He said, "Kid, we only have one more question. Have you ever been arrested?" And I told him the story of the Alice's Restaurant Massacre with 5-part harmony, foam orchestration, all kinds of other phenomenon. He stopped me there. He said, "Kid, did you go to court?" And I told him the story, the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and the paragraph. He stopped me again. He said, "Kid, I want you to go over, sit down on that bench that says Group W. Now, kid." Group W is where they used to put you if you might not have been moral enough to join the army after committing your special crime. There was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking people on the bench next to me. I mean, there was mother rapers and father stabbers. Father rapers. There's father rapers sitting there on the bench next to me. I mean, these was mean, nasty, ugly, horrible, crime kind of guys. And the meanest, ugliest, nastiest, the meanest father raper of them all was coming over to me, and he sat down next to me and said, "Kid, what'd you get?" I said, "I didn't get nothing. I had to pay $25 to pick up the garbage." He said, "Kid, what was you arrested for?" I said, "Littering." They all moved away from me on the bench there, giving me the hairy eyeball and all kinds of stuff until I said, "Hey, creating a nuisance." And then they all come back and shook my hand. We had a great time on the bench talking about crime, mother stabbing, father raping. We were smoking cigarettes and all kinds of stuff, having a good time. Till the sergeant come over. He had some paper in his hand. He held it up. He went like this. He said, "Get respect, got 47 words, 11 sentences. One time the crime, details the crime, you got 17, truth about the crime, the rest of the name, kind of thing, got to say." And he talked for 45 minutes, and nobody understood a word he said. But we had fun filling out the forms and playing with the pencils on the bench. And I wrote down the massacre like I was supposed to. Put down my pencil, turned over the piece of paper. And there on the other side of that piece of paper, in the middle of the other side, I mean away from everything else on the other side, underlined, capitalized, and quoted, read the following words. "Kid, have you rehabilitated yourself?" I went over to the sergeant. I said, "Sergeant, you got a lot of gall to ask me if I've rehabilitated myself. I mean, I'm sitting here on the bench. I'm sitting here on the Group W bench because you want to know if I'm moral enough to join the army, burn women, kids, houses, children, villages after being a litter bug." He said, "Kid, we don't like your kind. We're going to send your fingerprints off to Washington." And friends, somewhere in Washington, there's a study in black and white of my fingerprints. They've been there for 50 freaking years. But I'm not the only one. They've been adding to the collection recently. Not just your fingerprints, but your emails and your text messages and your phone calls and all kinds of other stuff. So the only reason I'm singing you this song tonight is because you may know somebody in a similar collection. Even some of you could be in a collection like that. And if you ever find yourself in a collection like that and don't know what to do, well, there may not actually be much you can do. But there's something you can try, and that's to be wherever it is you are, as it were. Stop whatever you're doing and just go. You can get anything you want. at Alice's restaurant. That's it, just a couple of bars of the old song. I mean, imagine one person trying that these days. Probably not worth being collected. But imagine two of them. Maybe two of them trying to get married in parts of Kentucky or something. Or 3, or 50, or 50,000 people stop whatever they're doing, singing a few bars of the old song. Be worth collecting then. Not only that, you get enough people singing a song like that, and even the people collecting might start joining in. And when you get a song that's worth joining in on, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, or who you are, or what your story is, it becomes what we used to call a movement. Now, one of these days, somebody's gonna write a song like that. If not this one. Every generation needs their own songs. But while we're waiting for that one to get wrote, we can practice on the one we got. Not all that hard. Some of you even know it. I'll just try to remember it. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. No, come on, that seriously sucked. You want to change the world or do something, you got to be worth being collected. So we'll wait for it to come around again on the guitar. I'm still not proud or tired. Just don't want to be singing it for another 50 freaking years. So help me out here. You can't get anything that's better at Alice's restaurant.